Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining in today for our live webinar. We'll be covering BSSV, AIS, and Orchestrator business scenarios, as well as giving you guys a detailed overview of our course outline for BSSV and our AIS trainings. So my name is Hamza Siddiqui, and I work at eFlex as an ASE. Joining me today, I've got Anushri and Saad. So the agenda for today's webinar has been highlighted below for you guys. You can go ahead and review over it before we get started. I'd also like to let everyone know that our winning contestants for our free training giveaway will be chosen at the end of this webinar. So be sure to stick around and go through our polling session at the end of today's webinar to get your chance to win. All right, I'm sure you guys have had the chance to go through this. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'll be giving some of our new time viewers a brief overview of eFlex, and for our returning viewers, please do hang in there. We are Oracle's specialized partners, directly working with their product management teams for JD Edwards, Oracle IoT Cloud, and blockchain as a part of Oracle's Customer Advisory Board. We're early adopters and go-to partners when it comes to consulting and training for BSSV, AIS, and Orchestrator. eFlux's JD Edwards customers have also been referenced at Gartner for digital transformation using Orchestrator. We're IBM's partner for IBM Watson, with integration of IBM Watson with JD Edwards Orchestrator. eFlex is Simon's IoT and machine learning partner with PLC integrations with JD Edwards shop floor. We are AT&T and Verizon Enterprise Telemetry partners. eFlex is a key member of Oracle's Customer Advisory Board for Internet of Things and blockchain. We are also published at Stanford University in 2017 as one of the top 10 Oracle partners for Internet of Things. Here we have a highlight of our top JD Edwards customers that cover the North American continent. We have the following customers covered for BSSV, AIS, and Orchestrator consultation and training. I'll be passing it over to Saad now as we take a dive into the technical aspects of this webinar. Please go ahead, Saad.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Saad Faisal, as Hamza explained, and I'm the primary architect and consultant for BSSV AIS training. So let's start with why business services. So if primarily before business services or real-time integration or any kind of integration, there were some very limited options that were available for customers of JD Edwards. So primarily the consultant used Z tables for importing or exporting data from JD Edwards in and out. But with the use of the business services, the effect of the real-time business services provides the ability for the JD Edwards consultants and the clients to actually import or export the data and perform all kinds of integrations that are possible with the business services that are available. So its primary platform that is built with the Java technology, and there are some other components that are also involved in this. Can we move on to the next slide, Amza?
Sure.
So looking at the diagram here, you can see that the business services server basically serves as an integration centerpiece for third-party system, any kind of CRM portals, mobile applications, enterprise cloud apps, SOA, anywhere that has the ability to connect with a SOAP-based service. Business services are there to assist you. You can have the ability to utilize the standard business services that are provided by Oracle, or you can use or create your own custom business services. And with the availability of the business services, you have the option of connecting with all of the major modules that are available, like financials, manufacturing, supply chain, sales, customer relations, etc. And it provides you with all of the real-time integrations. There are, the integrated availability of errors that are available in the that are core part of the JD Edwards systems. So if you have worked with NERs or with business functions, you are probably aware with all kinds of errors that are reported by JD Edwards. So all these standard errors are basically gets reflected through business services as well. So it provides all of these standard structures that are available on the JD Edwards side and expose it out to any application that can invoke a SOAP-based service for importing, utilizing, or exporting any kind of data to and from any external application. So looking at the architecture here, in general, the primary business services server is the core centerpiece here that works in conjunction with all of the rest of the different elements that we usually have in our deployment. So we have our HTML web server, the enterprise server that basically provides all of the execution ability to the business services server. The security server provides the ability for providing authentication and all kinds of mechanisms there. The third-party product basically um, uh, allows you to connect through the business services server. That's where your BSSV gets deployed actually on. And uh, either they can go through directly to a business service, or they can utilize a BPAL or a ESB as a starting point for connecting with the business services server to invoke it or perform any kind of service. The business services can directly communicate with the E1 database, or they can also utilize the standard business functions that are available on the enterprise server. So they can directly interact with the database, or if they would like to do any kind of a standard master business function, they can use the enterprise server for invoking those functions and provide that functionality to the third party product that would like to invoke it. So that's primarily the architecture that is available here. Next slide, Hamza. So now let's talk about some of the live scenarios that we had the privilege and uh, time to work with some of our customers. So starting with can you go back? Yeah. So starting with Enos is one of our primary partner that basically required services for business services for integrating with they had a number of channel partners that were bringing in customers and sales orders, and a lot of these sales orders were based on configured items, and what they required was a very complicated functionality that was the standard business services that are provided by Oracle were not able to fulfill those functionalities. So we created a custom business service that not only created those complicated sales order, but there was a lot of functionalities for selecting the right company, business unit, and a lot of functional elements were available with some other databases that we need to referred or review values from. So those kind of elements were also part in this project, and we provide all of these services. We also help them in the same business service to intimate some of the external entities that were available. And once the sales order is created, the external systems were notified through email and through FTP and some other different elements, so that the customer would know that the respective sales order has been created. And there were some specific data elements that were also available apart from the input values that we receive on our sales order entry. There were certain data elements that were available as physical files through FTP file system. So we had to not only read but also write on the FTP file system. So we had to provide all those functionalities through standard BSS, the custom BSSV that we created. Uh, Next slide, please. Next, the Spectra Premium is also one of our very good partner that provide us the opportunity to work with the FedEx and I mean FedEx. We had the ability to work with the FedEx API to provide them printing labels for their orders. And what we help them is that they had a very complicated offline system that was available and provided by FedEx for creating those printing labels, and it was a very manual operation. And what they were looking for was that all of the shipment related information that is available on JD Edwards can get automatically converted to FedEx related printing labels, and automatically gets received on the FedEx side. So that's what we attempted was with the FedEx and the UPS. What we attempted was we provided them directly with the FedEx and the UPS API with a custom business service once again, and we held them to achieve their goal and the objective. Okay, so this is Planos Energy is one of the very important provider of hunting equipments. They have a lot of hunting related and related elements available, products available on their e-commerce stores. And what they were looking for was a two-step integration from their e-commerce store to JDE by an interim integration through Salesforce. So Salesforce was a main core element that was used by their customer support. And what they wanted is that the all of the e-commerce orders that are being created on the Magento side. Magento was used as the e-commerce platform, and what they wanted was that all of the orders that were being created, the inventory that is available on the JD side, and the shipment notifications. All of the three elements they wanted to have integrated to and fro in terms of the availability. And what we provided them was a two-step approach. We had the integration available on the Salesforce side, and we also had a custom integration that was created for them that allows them to retrieve all of the orders that have been created on the e-commerce store, uh, pulled it through Salesforce into JDE, and we also provided them the ability to update their inventory on daily basis. And as soon as a new shipment is ready, we intimate from the JD Edwards to Salesforce to finally the Magento that basically invokes the intimation to the customer that your shipment is ready, and you can check with your local shipment provider. Okay, so that was a three-step approach that we provided them. So then we have one of the customers that we had was the um, focal point. Focal point had a very complicated requirement for configurator-based um, items that they have. They have a huge inventory of lighting-based solutions, and they provide a very customized lighting-based solutions for their customers. And for that matter, they needed a very sophisticated configurator-based solution, which allowed them to create a very complicated uh, product and sales order based on these configurator elements, and we help them in creating those requirements through customized business services that are being invoked by Oracle CPQ Cloud. So Oracle CPQ Cloud basically invoke our custom business service, takes the information back into Oracle CPQ Cloud and intimate the specific user. Okay, next slide, please. Um, then for also for planar synergy, we did a 8-point integration for a product development system with the JD Edwards ERP, and we provided them the ability for a unified system dealing in their product and shipment. It was a very basic integration that was required by their external partner, which is the 8-point, and we help them integrate all of the data that is being imported from 8-point into the JD respective tables through custom business services. Next slide, please. PCL is one of the top 10 um, uh, construction vendors in North America, and they come to us for a very specific requirement for their employees and for their HR, and they wanted us to help them in creating the HR record, their leave operations, and all of the related stuff. And they wanted us to help them create all these records through custom business services. They had a very complicated structure, which was part of a very large ecosystem, which involves a number of different system elements that help them achieve the specific integration. Our job was to provide them a custom business service that helped them create um, the employee records into the JD Edwards. Okay, next slide, please. Uh, Now I would like Anoshri to take over and provide the feedback.
Hi everyone, good morning and good afternoon. Saad gave a very good overview of whatever we have done so far. As you can observe that business services are very strong. We can do everything that we can do through JDE transactions, and that too with full validations and full, uh, the whole flow can be replicated using BSSVs, and with a combination of business services and master business functions to achieve the desired results in JD Edwards while maintaining the integrity of the JD Edwards ERP. So this one here, what we did was, you might be aware of the purchasing self-service or RSS punch-out softwares, which are used by all major retailers like Amazon, Staples, and all. So we used JD Edwards CXML and business services and requisition self-services module to implement the punch out and enable the punch out integration with any major uh, suppliers who use the punch out CXML to process purchase orders and requisitions. So this was with the portals, and it was pretty flexible. Any supplier can be set up there. Just we needed their third party API link and their credentials, and that's all. So this was done at SNC Levelin, which is a major construction company in Canada. Going forward, Hamza, please. Right, yeah. Now this is pretty recent. So this was the account payable automation. So it's automating the invoice payments. Basically, these companies like Highland and IntelliChief, what they do is they have these softwares which scan the invoices um, and pick up the data fields by scanning the invoice picture and map it to their software, and then we customize the standard voucher match and accounts payable programs to process into JDE, and those JDE has inbuilt integrations. BSSV is available, but what happens is that they're not they're very basic, so you cannot do a lot of advanced processing like adding a passing a receipt line or passing retainage, and also we customize the services to allow for that. And we also gave training to Highland's team, introduced them to JD Edwards system and JD Edwards AP module, along with their integration capacity of JD Edwards BSSV training and AIS. So um, no, next slide. Now this is the training outline which SAD will provide. So our business services training, our self-paced trainings, we can and SAD can provide more details, and he can tell what all is available and how the trainings are structured. SAD.
Thank you, Anushka. So the basic idea behind our business services training outline is we help our anyone who would like to avail this training. We ensure that that person uh, does not have to have a very complicated understanding of all the different requirements that are needed for learning business services. So primarily C programming, Java programming, all of these elements are covered in our training program. So we have, like, I think 5 or 6 days that are available. Let me give you an outline of how we can go through. How do we go with our day-to-day areas? Can you go back, Hamza? Right on one. So starting with the day one, we start out with the brushing up your C and C++, and we starts with the important elements of understanding the C language. What are the different elements that are available in terms of data structure, pointers, how we invoke functions, and every day, as I mentioned, is followed with hands-on lab. We just do not cover some basic theoretical stuff, but we go in hands-on and provide examples and give you lab exercises so that you can understand it. And if you have any kind of questions, you can always um, query and discuss it with us through email. Next, we start out with the Java language. One of the core elements of Java is the object-oriented programming. So we start out with that. We then talk about the data types that are available on Java. One of the important elements here is that the C and Java both share a common syntax. So that is a very useful element in terms of business services learning. So whatever you have learned in C, a certain aspect of it gets utilized on the Java programming as well. So we talk about Java data types. What are the common Java libraries? So Java is built on some of the Java standard Java libraries. So we talk about them as well. And once again, we have a very hands-on lab section where we cover all of the relevant elements of Java language. Next slide, please. Then we start out with the JD Edwards environment and business services. We talked about the JD architecture and the core concept, and we discuss about some of the sample scenarios that are available in our exercises. Once we go with the different concepts of tables, application, business function, business views, we assume at this point that the user has a very initial knowledge about the event environment. So we go into their relevant elements, and then we talked about the core business services concept for published business service. What are the value objects? What are the internal business services? and we give them individually their relevant separate day. Then start with the day four. With the business service, we start out with how do you basically retrieve information from JDE and send it back to your user or whoever would like to utilize your business service. We start with a sample scenario. We understand how the different elements of business services work, and we create that specific business service in our lab exercises. On day five, next on business service side, we start with how we can push data into JDE using the table operations or executing a business function. So we start out with a specific exercise, and we take that and expand on that specific exercise. And in the lab section, we create our own business service, and we create its relevant data structure and everything for creating our business function. We create our own business function for that part as well, so that we know how we can create the relevant business function in JDE. On day six, we talk about what happens when you have some problem in your business service. How do you debug it? How do you troubleshoot it? And we talk about how we can deploy our Java business objects, BSSV objects, in your local test environment, and how you can deploy it in to the final deployment environment of DV or PY or wherever you want to deploy. So we specifically talk about how to debug and troubleshoot any kind of problem that you face in your business service. Next slide, please. So that was basically the outline for the business services. Now let's talk about why do we need the application interface services, or AIS? That's what we call it. So so the basic idea challenge that we face with the business services is that there are a lot of functionality that is available and in the master business functions, and we usually what we do is we usually utilize those master business functions to create any kind of sales orders or customer record or any kind of thing. But there's a huge amount of functionality that is available also on the even P applications, and they host a number of tricky functionalities that are not available on the master business function side. And for that matter, the business services lacks that kind of the power that is present on the P applications of the E1, because they cannot utilize those P applications. So that's where the application interface services was created by Oracle to allow the external applications who would like to utilize the functionalities of E1 by directly invoking the P applications, by invoking them exactly in the manner as would a customer usually do, by opening a P application, searching for a specific record, clicking on that record, editing it, or possibly creating a new record, and saving and closing the form. So these are the general steps that we go through when we are working with E1 HTML P applications. But while working with the AIS, we get the chance to execute these P application exactly the way a normal user would do. Okay, so AIS is, as you can say, probably is a more for a functional consultant, and business services is more for a technical consultant. Okay, so let's talk about what is basically covered on the AIS side. So starting with, as I described, the core essence of AIS is that it allows you to basically execute the P applications that are available on the HTML server, and you basically provide the AIS services the means to execute a specific P applications, and provided the exact operational steps that a normal user would do to perform a specific operation. For example, if you want to create a sales order record, you perform a specific number of set of operations for creating a sales order record. So you need to replicate those steps for AIS steps in order to launch that application, perform those operations, and closing it. Okay. Uh, Another most important part is that the business services was based on SOAP protocol, which was XML based. However, AIS is based on the REST and the JSON REST protocol, and it basically works with the JSON contents. It works as an HTTP post method, so you can invoke it with either SOAP UI or any kind of application that basically works with the REST or JSON services. Okay, so any third party application that would like to invoke the AIS services, they can easily do that through the AIS server. We have a specific AIS format for calling the AIS services. So in the example here, you can see that /JDE/form service request. That means that you basically would like to invoke a specific form of a JDEP application. Okay? And you can provide it the app ID and its version and all of the relevant parameters, and it executes it, provide you the feedback, and then the third party application can review the response JSON and perform any kind of operation that they would like to do with that information. Next slide, please. So in journal, the AIS provides a lot of functionality, but primarily there are four elements, top tier elements that I would say that most of the AIS is being utilized for. So we have the form services that basically allows you to do interactions with a single form of a P application. Then we have application stack services, which basically allows you to invoke number of forms for performing a single consecutive operation. So, for instance, you open a specific application, you search for a specific record, select it, open it up for an edit operation, go to the next form, make some modification, or possibly open up another form. Then you close it, go back to your parent form, and then save your changes and close that specific parent form. So application stack services basically allows you to execute this a sequence of operations within a single app session, and it allows you to invoke a number of forms, and it basically maintains all of the state of a specific form. So when you return back to a form, it maintains its respective state, and whatever the field values that were available on that specific form, it's going to maintain it. Okay. Then we have the data service. The important element here to understand is that the data service allows you to perform any kind of select operations that are available on even database that you can perform. So data service basically allows you to interact with any kind of table or view that are available in event database. Then we have the batch service, which basically allows you to combine the execution of multiple event forms, and you can basically execute reports as well here with this specific service. Next slide, please. Okay, so looking at this specific diagram here from the architecture point of view, you can see that AIS, as it works with the REST protocol, and since REST is one of the more, I would say, the most used connectivity API platform at this point, protocol at this point. So any kind of iOS apps or Android apps or web applications or third-party apps that you have, they all have these days the functionality to connect with any kind of REST service. So AIS allows you to interact with them through the REST protocol. You can have any kind of basically a React Native application as well. If you have any kind of Ionic framework, these are hybrid frameworks that basically allows you to create with the HTML5 based applications that basically works with browsers, that basically works with any kind of smartphones. So you can use any kind of a framework that you want, as long as they have the ability to connect to the AI server through the REST protocol. And once you are in with the AI server, you have the availability to interact with any kind of even module through any P application, and you can perform any kind of also you can perform notifications. AIS allows you to perform notifications to any external email or the integrated E1 systems that are available. Next slide, please. Now, we would like to talk about some of the live scenarios that we had the chance to work with some of our customers. Starting with tech is one of the one of our customers that required the IoT hardware integration with JD Edwards, and they what they wanted was the inventory transfer and inventory adjustment that were needed to be invoked by external application. We provided them the ability through Oracle orchestration to invoke through the Oracle AIS, and we helped them perform the inventory adjustment and inventory transfer using the standard P applications that are available. Next slide, please. Vichilio Group is also one of the top tier construction vendor that is available in North America as well, similar to PCL. And they came to us with a very unique problem, and they required a very customized application that basically allowed, they wanted their field project managers to report uh, their the man hours of the users that are working in the field, the equipment that they have, uh, and a couple of other areas. So what we did was we created a customized HTML5 Node.js based application for them that basically interact with their AIS server. We have very sophisticated UI created for them that allows their field project managers to report and manage all kinds of hours. They had an offline functionality as well, which allows them to create all kinds of entries, and simply with a click of a button, they can sync their data from the field location back to their AIS server that is hosted on their field offices. Uh, so that's one of the very complicated integration that we perform. Next slide, please. So coming to the AIS training outline, we also provide application interface services training as well. So the idea behind the AIS training is that you need to have a very good background with E1, but you do not need to have a strong background with REST or with JSON or with understanding the respective tools that are necessary for executing the AIS services. All of these is covered in the training outline that we provide. Next slide, please. So starting with the day one, we start out with the REST and JSON protocol, and we cover all of the relevant areas that are necessary for invoking any AIS service. So we talk about the difference between SOAP and REST. So SOAP is used, as I specified, is used by business services, and REST is used by AIS. So then we talked about the different elements of HTTP methods, headers, what are their return code means, what is JSON, JavaScript object notation, how do we create JSON objects and their attributes, how do we work with JSON arrays, and similar to business services, we have hands-on lab exercises that basically gives you the hands-on experience working with the REST and the JSON protocol for day one. For day two, we start out with the tool that we used throughout our training outline. It's called Postman. You can also use SOAP UI as well, for that matter. But we used Postman in that area. So we start out with the review overview of the Postman, how its interface works, how we can create the get and post request with the Postman, and how we can create any kind of REST-based request, and how we can save our collections and everything that is available in Postman. Next slide, please. Then we on day three we talk about the AIS architecture. So we talk about the different scenarios of when you can choose between business services and AIS. What is the core focus of AIS? What are the different areas where AIS is not applicable? What are the shortfalls for AIS? That is very important for any kind of consultant who is providing AIS as a solution to its customer. Then we talk about the different services that are available on the AIS side. And then we start with a hands-on lab, and we talk about some of the initial services that are available in AIS. On the day four side, we start with what we refer to as token request, which basically authenticate a specific AIS request so that you can use that authentication mechanism to receive a token back from your AIS server, and then you can use that token for your subsequent calls to AIS. So we talk about what is a token request is, and then we talked about the data services. And data services, as I give you guys an idea earlier, it basically allows you to interact with Event database and perform any kind of select operations on your Event database. You can execute views. You can perform select operations on your tables. Next. So on day five, we go deep dive in AIS, and we start out with the form request and application stack services, and we talk about different elements of the form request service. How do we utilize a P application? What are the different scenarios that are there when you are working with AP application? How do you convert that logical functionality that you have as a functional consultant and take it to creating a AIS request for invoking that specific P application? So we talk about those specific elements, about the basic and advanced parameters. We talk about what are the how do you provide the form interconnect values. Some of the technical consultant knows about this. So what are if you would like to do perform form events, how do you do that with the form request? And then we talk about the application stack services, as I explained earlier, that basically is helps you in performing complicated operations where multiple forms are involved for executing your specific set of transactional tasks that you would like to perform. Okay, so application stack services is covered with detailed example flows and within the hands-on lab exercises. Finally, on day six, we talk about the logging service. So there are scenarios where you would like to send some logging information back to the JD server logs. So we talk about how we can have those logging services, how we can use those logging services and send information into JD logs. And then we talked about the media object services and the message services that are available in AIS. So message services basically allows you to send out email notification or possibly send messages into the message center. And with the help of the media object, any kind of information that you would like to associate with a specific JD record, you can use a media object. So if you would like to attach an image or possibly a Word document with your specific record, you need to use media object services of AIS for invoking that specific functionality. And all of these are specifically covered through hands-on lab exercises so that you don't miss any kind of theoretical functionality, but you get all the details there. Okay. So with the AIS covered, now let's talk about why do we need the orchestrator. So as you move around and when you start utilizing the AIS, um, uh, the you tend to miss the idea of a tool that basically allows you to perform. I mean, get away from the complicated um, structures that you need to follow because of the REST and the JSON protocol, and that's where the Oracle Orchestrator basically comes in, and it allows you to interact with Oracle AIS server through the visual elements that are available on the orchestrator side. So orchestrator basically helps you in communicating not only with AIs. There are a couple of other functionalities that are available on the orchestrator side, but primarily it basically connects with AIS to invokes that are functionality for the functionalities that are available on the AIS side, and it helps you do it in a more visual manner. So if you want to connect with a form, or if you want to use a form service on the AIS side, you don't need to understand all of the complicated structures that are available on understanding the JSON language or anything, but you can visually create an orchestrator request and provided the values similar to how you interact with the P application. So you can simply provided the values for a specific P application. How do you want to execute a specific event on that specific form? So you visually do that. So Orchestrator helps you in achieving that specific objective. So now let's talk about some of the real life scenarios. So um, Vigilio group. We work with them for they're one of the sort of a complicated scenario where their field equipments, these giant excavators that you are seeing right now. So what they wanted was the ability to report the all of the specific field interaction values for their equipment uptime into their job cost accounting. And they do not want any kind of manual entry, and everything that is available from the directly from the specific Caterpillar device. They would like to import it directly into the JD Edwards. So we work with the Vigent Link service, and with the IoT orchestration server, we imported those values directly from the excavators, and we integrated with the JD Edwards meter reading application for job cost accounting, and that basically helps them in making predictive maintenance based decision for identifying when is the specific maintenance is due for a specific field equipment, identifying their condition, and make better decision for maintaining their equipment. It also helps them in making preemptive alerts for automated maintenance for their work orders. We also help them in a mobile field reporting app that was integrated with the JD Edwards orchestrator for the job cost accounting. So looking at it from a visual perspective, the Vision Link API allows us to interact with the field equipment, Caterpillar field equipment. With the Oracle IoT orchestrator, we synchronize the real-time status of the machine health, and we created the service work order based on the specific alerts that they have set within the system, and these respective elements go directly into the job cost accounting and the service work orders and respective billing system and all of the relevant areas of the JD. Okay, uh, that's it. I think let's move to the next slide. Uh, okay, so um, Aroshed, would you like to take over from here?
Yeah. So I hope this session gave you an idea of what BSSV as an orchestrator can do, uh, and how can it help you to in your journey towards digital transformation. And eFlux is here to help you get there yourself by helping you your team and you train, or just providing direct consulting and helping the job get done for you. We provide these services. Basically, you can see that the our service offerings are training and consulting needs. We can talk with your team. We can gauge your team's uh, skill gap, and we can help you that these are the trainings which will help you. These are this is And you can also work we can also work with you in terms of knowing your need as to what softwares you are trying to bring in, what are the SaaS apps or other things that you're trying to integrate with JDE, and then we can provide you your integration architecture. We can help you work with your security team, because one of the key challenges is when you bring a third party app is dealing with the security team, and working with them to without compromising the security of your organization. And we help do that as well. We can do full implementation. We can help our integration. We can do a pilot where you can see whether an orchestrator or a AIS will work for you, and if you like it and if it works, then you can go for a larger project. So these are the offerings that we have in terms of integration and digital transformation, and JD modernization. And please feel free to reach out to us if you have any of these needs. If you just want to talk and see, will it help you, will BSSV or AIS or these orchestrator help you, and helping your team and your colleagues train and yourself train will also give you, it's a lot of power in one person's hand, to be honest, when your ERP is able to talk to any other system out there, because there's so many softwares which help with the currently mobile workforce, the new standards, and for overall your organization. So I think that's a wrap for us. Hamza, would you like to add something?
Sure, sure. All right, so we'll be sharing our polling link with you guys in the comment section to the side. You guys can go ahead and fill out the required information, and as we then go ahead and pick out the winners. Also, if you guys have any questions at all, I think Manasa had a question. Can Orchestrator replace BSSV? If you guys would like, you can go ahead and proceed with that.
Yeah, so let me answer this. No, our Orchestrator does not replaces BSSV. Business Services has a specific set of functionalities that it provides. Oracle Orchestrator has I mean, different related functionalities that it basically allows you to function. AIS has its specific I mean, relevant plus points, but it has its shortfalls as well. For instance, you cannot create custom AIS services, which is a very strong point that is available on the business services side. So you can create your business custom business services for your specific need, but that is not a functional element that is available on the AIS side. But since AIS has the complete power of available for Oracle P applications, so that is available to you with the help of the IoT orchestrator. You can directly use it by connecting with AIS, or you can invoke it through Oracle IoT Orchestrator. That is up to you. But IoT Orchestrator does not replace this business access. They both have different scenarios as required by your specific integration needs.
And to add to it, the orchestrator is mostly for your RPA kind of needs, where you want to automate, processes back to back, so no manual intervention is needed. So if you want three processes to happen after one, each other, so you can put an orchestration and write an orchestration that, okay, your time gets entered through orchestrator, and then it gets approved and it gets to the next stage. So that kind of RPA you can use orchestrator for. Business services are mostly for your real time or batch integration needs. And biggest one of the advantages of business services is that it works with lower versions of JD Edwards. The AIS and Orchestrator definitely works with 9.2 and 9.1. Sat can correct me over there, but BSSV works even with 8.1 too. So BSSV does has its place, but Orchestrator is useful when you want to go to through a RPA kind of or a low code kind of solution where business analysts can go ahead and program orchestrations and things like that. Hope that answers your question.
All right, guys, I think this is a wrap. If you guys have any other questions.
And I would just like to thank everyone for staying with us and coming to join this call. It's wonderful to have you all here.
Okay, so I think Murthy just dropped a question. Can I get documents regarding AP automation? Sure, we'll go ahead and send that over to you. If you would like to just reach out to us at info@eflex.com. If anyone else has any further questions, you can always reach out to us and we'd be happy to answer them all. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.